Welcome to the Tman Variety Podcast with your host, Tyler Hannigan. We will cover a wide range of topics from sports to disabilities. Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to the Tman Variety Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about blues hockey. So here's my very special guest. That is my dad. Hello.
Hey, how you doing, Tyler?
Good. So how do you think the Blues will do this season?
I don't think it's going to be too much different than last year. I think the Blues are going to be battling to try and make the playoffs. In their division, there's already three teams that are much superior to them, that being Colorado, Dallas, and Minnesota. So it's really going to come down to battling for probably a wild card spot with against Utah and teams like that.
So today I just don't want to talk about Blues hockey. Today I also want to talk about the NHL overall. So to recap last year's NHL season, the Carolina Hurricanes won the Cup. So just a quick recap. What did you think of the Stanley Cup final last year?
I enjoyed all of it. I watched pretty much every game. Carolina, as the playoffs went on, was clearly the better team as far as shutting down other teams' offenses. And once again, Toronto and disappointed people. And thought some other teams kind of jumped up and surprised me a little bit. Montreal being one of them. And so it's going to be very interesting. I was surprised also that Colorado kind of fell apart at the end. Maybe that was due to injuries. So Carolina ought to be good next year, this coming season. And Montreal, I think, shall be along with Florida. But as far as the Blues on our side, it's just going to be a long season. They've got to start out much better than they did last year. They always seem to finish really strong, but just never enough to get over the hump.
Yeah, and I think with the way the Blues ended last season, especially because towards the end they were doing all the right things. They were back checking. They were clearly working better as a team towards the end of last year. And I thought if there was a slight chance we make the playoffs, I thought we would do a pretty good to end the playoffs last year. But turns out we kind of dug ourselves a hole early on last season, and it was a little too late. But I am hopeful for this season that they can make a push for the playoffs and hopefully get as far as they can. I would love to see them in the final, but that's a long shot goal.
Yeah.
But it'd be cool if they were and they won it, because I think one Stanley Cup is cool, two is really good.
And I think it's going to be a big reach. Right now, FanDuel has 10,000 to 1 odds, which is in the bottom 10 teams to win the Cup. So it doesn't sound likely. I think it'd be an accomplishment just to make the playoffs and maybe get past a round or maybe a round in the playoffs. The big change they had this year was they got rid of Jordan Kyrou. It's going to remain to be seen as to whether that's going to be positive or not. I think it's going to be a positive because I think it sounded like he was a cancer in the locker room. He was kind of seemed to be responsible for getting rid of Craig Berube, and just didn't really play a whole lot. Didn't appear to play a lot of defense. So we're going to see how he does with the Capitals, and we picked up Connor McMichael, who plays a much better all-around game than Kyrou, but obviously doesn't score to the level that Jordan did.
Yeah, and that's the thing is Jordan Kyrou was really good offensively, but defensively he stunk. He never came back and helped out, which obviously when you get into the playoffs, there is a way you need to play. You need not only the score, but you have to come back and help. And when I think of teams that really do struggle with that, the one team that comes to mind is Edmonton.
Yeah, they have all these great goal scorers, but it doesn't mean a whole lot if you can't keep the other team from scoring. And it seems like everybody's waiting for somebody to pass them the puck so they can go down ice and score, and nobody's going into the corners to get the pucks for the Oilers.
Yeah, and hockey again, like any other sport, it's a team sport. Everybody has to do their job. And the thing with the Oilers especially is They really, they have, like I said, a lot of great talent, but great talent doesn't mean diddly squat unless you have the puck. And when you don't have the puck, you can't score, obviously. So that's, I think, the story of the Oilers. I'll be interested to see how the Florida Panthers do this year because they made a big, huge pickup with Brady Kachuk. I think that was one of the biggest ones. So they've added some toughness to their lineup. And they picked up a goalie in Jacob Markstrom. I am kind of speculating on Jacob Markstrom because he came from New Jersey and I thought he kind of stunk on New Jersey. But then again, maybe a change of scenery might help.
Yeah, it's a big loss losing Bobrovsky. He's now on Toronto. And that could hurt. And I understand Marchand he's having surgery, so I don't know how long he'll be out. They always seem to have some injuries that seem to catch up to them on Florida. I don't know if Barkov's coming back or what his story is. I mean, they still are going to be in the top of the contention for the Cup this coming year. It's going to be interesting to see how they can handle some of this adversity and not having Bobrovsky in the net.
I think also it'll be interesting to see how the Winter Classic this year is going to be in Utah. Because last year, I remember the Winter Classic, it sucked. Last year, it was terrible. It was down in Miami. It did not get a lot of viewership. And again, I think Miami's a good city, but for hockey, really, come on.
Yep.
And
who do you think's right now? I know it's August, but if you were to just take a stab at who your one or top one or two teams to win the Cup, Tyler, and who might be your surprise team to make some damage in the playoffs?
well, here's my list. Florida, Carolina, my surprise team would be Toronto, just because of the Bobrovsky pickup. But I also speculating with the Maple Leafs with their talent too. But again, picking up Sergei Bobrovsky was a big deal, but he has to stay healthy. And also age-wise, I have some questions about his age.
Yeah, that would remain to be seen. I think the teams that I kind of agree with you with the Carolina and possibly Florida. The team that I think that really surprised me in the playoffs this past year and may continue because they were a very young team is Montreal. They might be my surprise pick, or are my surprise pick to win the Cup next year. So this coming season. So anyway, I guess we'll leave it at that.
Yes, sir. Thank you for joining us.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Tman Variety Podcast. You can catch us on YouTube and iTunes.